Hi, I'm Anthony Sammarco. I'm a Boston historian and author of Lost Boston. It's a compilation of photographs and articles that talk about Boston from 1850 to the present. And in a lot of ways, it's a fascinating glimpse into how Boston has evolved. But the area that we're located in is the old West End of Boston. It's an area that really no longer exists because of urban renewal. But in the period of the early 1960s, the area between what is now the northern slope of Beacon Hill, the Charles River, the area just adjacent to Haymarket Square and of course Court Street, would actually be demolished and rebuilt in some ways, not just with luxury high-rise apartments, but also Boston City Hall. What it did was not just to replace a residential neighborhood, but it was also something that created in some ways a totally new approach to how Boston would be developed after the period of World War II. And in some ways, this area, which was well known as Scollay Square, was an area that was a crossroads even in the early part of the 19th century. A lot of people might not remember Scollay Square. It was something that prior to the 1960s was the major attraction of Boston. It was the red light zone of Boston in that period. It had bars and saloons and restaurants, and it also had somewhat seedy burlesque houses, but it also had burlesque strippers. And many of these strippers became beloved by Bostonians. Anne Curio, Sally Rand, Gypsy Rose Lee. So if you're passing through the plaza towards the junction of what is today Tremont and Court Street, it's an area that once had the Scollay Square kiosk to the subway terminal. And you begin to realize in some ways that these buildings that survive today all date to the latter part of the 19th and very early 20th century. But today, of course, Boston City Hall Plaza, this open vista of areas, was something that once had many streets where people not only lived, but where they worked. And that was all obliterated by the period of 1963.